Hello everyone! Today we are going to be getting into these ARTEZA acrylic paint markers. Yes, I have been wanting to collect the full range of Posca pens, but as you know, they are pretty pricey, so I wanted to give these a try to see if I like the medium enough to invest in Posca pens. So yeah, we'll see how these work out. I'm pretty excited. I've been looking forward to this. So yeah, let's get our, well, first let's open this, and then we will get our sketchbook out and swatch these. I'm curious to see, I mean, I don't have any Posca pen except for the white one, so I'm curious to see how different that one is, at least, because I noticed that the white Posca pen, it tends to look more yellow. Okay, so these are supposed to come with, oh yeah, I see the tips in the little box there. They come with removable or exchangeable tips. So we're gonna see how we like this one, because as far as Posca pens go, I don't really like the super fine or super chunky. I like the medium ones. So we'll see how I feel about these. And pumping is taking forever. We'll get there someday. Hey, we got some. You probably can't see it on the camera, but there is indeed paint on there. It feels kind of gummy compared to the Posca pen. It's a little bit blotchy. I think I might switch out the tip on the other ones just to see if it helps the paint come in faster, because there's not so much spongy bit to cover. So that's our titanium white. Does it say? Yeah, it does. It has the it's got the name on the barrel, so that's good. Here's the tips that it comes with. This is silver. Oh, I'm curious to see how this compares to our cheap, oh, that came out easy, our cheap pen. Actually, this is a chisel tip. Do I really want to use a chisel tip? They're all chisel tips. Alright, let's just try it. I think it goes this way. There we go. Let me shake it. That's the wrong end. So from what I can see so far, the titanium white does not look as yellow as the white Posca pen. Just interesting. So far, the complaint I have about these is that it takes forever to pump them. I might actually swatch all of these off camera, because this is taking forever. Just pumping. Good coverage on this though, I like that. So far these look pretty opaque, pretty thick. I've read some reviews that said that these, dang it, I keep putting the cap on backwards. It said that these tips tend to like get frayed and start dissolving like after just a little bit of use, so I hope that those people just got duds and that doesn't happen to us. This looks a bit kind of more on the green side compared to our other metallic paint pen that we've been using, which is kind of cool because it means that we have a different shade of gold to play with. I can't really see if that's how that's looking. Let's add another layer on there. So it seems like, I don't know if it's making the paper beat up or what, but it's a little bit chunky in some areas. That's dry already. So I don't know, I guess let's see how it's looking on the other side. No bleed through so far, so that's good. Okay, so we are back. I have swatched all these, took forever. So now I just want to go over some first impressions. So I still can't tell, like some of these are a little, they have like these little bits in them and I still can't tell if it's pulling up the paper or if it's just the tip that's actually breaking up. But as you can see, they did not bleed through at all. This here is just marker. Pretty much as far as color range, I think that, I mean, there's plenty of blues and greens, so that's always a plus for me. But I think that it could use some more like tan and browns. I feel like if they had switched out the metallics for more browns and tans, that would have been more beneficial, at least for me, because I already have the silver and the gold. But yeah, I think we're gonna try mixing some ourselves. I wish we didn't have to do that, but yeah, it looks like they're gonna make us mix our own tans and browns, which kind of sucks, but we'll see how that goes. Some of the cap colors match and some don't. Like here is lime green, that doesn't match. Lettuce green also doesn't match. However, you do have some that do, like phthalo blue. And can we talk about this phthalo blue for a minute and how it is clearly green? Like, that's green. Normally I see phthalo blues in like the sapphire blue and Egyptian blue color, but this, I've never seen phthalo blue that's actually green. So that was kind of surprising. I'm not sure what the logic was behind that, but that's a thing. Still a little bit confused, but hey, at least the cap color matches the actual color, so that's something. Let's see what else. So some of these are a little streaky. Like the fluorescent colors mainly are a little bit streaky, but the majority of them are actually pretty solid, which is nice. So, oh, and they do, I had enough of the replacement tips to switch almost all of them from the chunky tip to the chisel tip. Oh my gosh, chisel tip. I had all of them except for one, which is the way. I don't know if that was a mistake in the packaging or what, but yeah, I thought that they were, since they came in two separate packages, I thought that they were like two different types of tip, but as far as I can tell, they were, both packages contained the same like size of chisel tip. So yeah. So next I wanted to compare the ARTEZA white versus the Posca white. So we're gonna do that now. Let me just shake this. This is the ARTEZA white I'm using right now. So we're gonna see how this looks over our purple marker here. So might have to do a couple layers with that. So here is the Posca white. It's gonna take a couple layers. Just probably let it dry a little bit more, but I am impatient. So yeah, this has little bits. I think that's dried paint that's coming off right here. A little streaky, yeah, we might need to let that dry for a little bit. But so far it looks like the ARTEZA white is actually blending with the marker underneath a little bit more than the Posca pen. So let's, while we wait for that dry to add another layer, let's try the opacity test to see how, oops, throwing things over here, how opaque these colors will show up over black. So this is lime green. I just picked that one up at random. So I mean, you can see it, so that's good. Let's try sapphire blue. That one looks a lot better. Like that. I don't know if it looks the same on camera, but it almost like completely covers up the black. Let's try another light one. This is fluorescent peach. That one's decent, I think. Might need to add another layer after that dries. Let's try a yellow. This is fluorescent yellow. I think these show up pretty decent over black. I mean, obviously it's not going to be as bright as it's going to be on white, but I mean, it's decent. So, blending. Let's see how we can make these colors blend into each other. I'm a little nervous about this because I don't know how, like, if one color is gonna like totally ruin the other one, and yeah, so let's do a little experiment here. So this is deep teal, and we're going to try and blend it into Arctic blue. So let's see how this works out. I feel like we're getting a pretty good gradient here. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with the my light kind of making a glare on it, but yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Let's try some colors that are more separated from each other to see how we can get that to work. So let's do orchid purple and vermilion. Just some random colors. I really like this purple. It's really pretty. Trying to go light on these because I feel like that might actually be the paper that's tearing up, so I don't want to like break through it completely. So I'm kind of doing like a little stippling motion. Yeah, you can see all these little bits here. I'm pretty sure it's tearing up the paper. Let's see how... Yeah, there's still a little bit of red on there. Let's see if we can get this clean. Just pump it a little bit. And we're getting back to purple. Let's clean up our red. Not as much purple in the red. Actually, there's none. Interesting. So yeah, that's how it layers. Let's try and smooth this out a little bit. Okay. So yeah, I guess for this, if you're using this kind of paper that's kind of thin, it would probably, starting to buckle a little bit, probably be best to keep to blending colors that are very similar to each other, so you don't have to like layer a bunch to make it blend and tear your paper up. So yeah, good, not so good. Okay, so next I pretty much have an idea of what I want to do with these pens for our art piece for today. So I'm going to take some colors that I want to use and see how well we can get them to blend to create some different colors. So first let's go back to this white test and see if we can add another layer here. It still looks like the Posca is not blending as much with the marker underneath. So yeah, I think in that aspect the Posca definitely wins, and it's also not leaving all of these chunks. But I'm curious to see how they look. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but I want to see how they look like without, it's still got purple on it. See how they look without color underneath. To see, like how I was talking about earlier with how the Posca pen tends to lean a little yellow. Okay, so it looks like, this is interesting. The ARTEZA pen blended more with the purple on the paper, but it didn't like stick to the pen like it did with the Posca, so that's something. They look kind of similar now that we've got all the purple off our Posca. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like when I was putting this down, this looked less yellow than it normally does when I use the Posca. Maybe it's just, maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see, I don't know. But I guess as we use it more, we'll see like what is actually going on here. So, all right, let's start doing some blending, or layering, I mean, just to see. Oops, that's my Posca pen. We don't want to use that. This is an ARTEZA video. So we were able to create a lighter gray, but it is tearing up the paper. Just want to see how many different shades we can get. I don't think it's safe to do any more than 2 layers on this paper because it is quite thin. But if we can just get something lighter, at least 1 shade, that would be nice. So I guess that's another technique you can use if you don't want to do like a bunch of layering. Just try and dip the white in a different color and just slowly blend it out so you can get more shades. That's something you could do. It might take a while, but it's an option. So let's take our, I don't think we want, yeah, let's do fluorescent blue and bumblebee yellow. Let's see what we can get with these. Let me shake it first. It's kind of a ugly green, but it's green. Put this up a little more so you can see it. It looks really dark on camera. Let's also try yellow and red. This is true red. You know what, I'm gonna use the yellow first. And it looks like the true red just eats the yellow. You don't even need to take it off because it doesn't, so that's not an option for layering. Let's try using the yellow over it again, see if we can get something. Yeah, it does lighten it up a little, but again, you have the paper tearing up. And the red will not get off this yellow. There it goes. All right. And I want to do one more pass with this to see. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that purple's starting to disappear. So as of right now, they look kind of the same. Honestly, I can't see much of a difference. I'm gonna pull you down a little bit. Maybe you can see a difference. But yeah, the only thing I notice really is that the ARTEZA is still pulling up the purple a little bit more. But I don't really see much of a difference. Like even with these, the Posca might seem a little bit darker, but it might still have some of the purple on it. I don't know. Yeah, they look the same. So we shall see. I will do some sketching, I guess, and then we will, I don't know if I'll film it or not, but I'm gonna do some sketching and then we will get to doing the actual piece. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so it's been about 2 weeks since I filmed all this footage and I have some things to say. I have worked with these paint markers a little more over the past couple weeks and I have to say I really do like this medium. However, I realized over the course of using these in my personal sketchbook that I was using these paint markers wrong for at least part of the time. Not sure if it was the whole time, but I know it was an issue that was totally my bad as a result of not really seeing paint markers used in action a whole lot. So, what is this issue, you ask? Well, let's do a bit of background first. My experience with markers is almost exclusively with alcohol markers, you know, barring the water-based markers everyone uses as a kid. And with alcohol markers, it's usually good to use them in a circular motion to reduce streakiness and make sure you get a good amount of coverage. You can also add additional layers of marker while it's still wet. That is not so with paint markers, as far as I can tell. At the time I was filming footage for this video, I thought the little chunks of paper beading were the fault of this particular brand of marker. I ended up getting a set of Posca markers to test out a few days ago, and when I played around with them, lo and behold, they also had the beading issue. So after some trial and error, I realized that this was because I was using the markers with the wrong type of stroke. In order to get a smooth coat of paint marker, it's best to fill in areas with one single layer, so like don't move the marker around in a circle or go back over spots you've already done. And if you do have to go over it again, make sure the initial layer is dry before you do. This didn't take away the beading entirely, but it did help a lot to reduce it and take away some of the streakiness. So after figuring this out with the Posca markers, I went back and tried it with the ARTEZA markers and the result was a lot better. So that's one complaint I had about these markers that I think can now be chalked up to user error. However, after using both brands, it seems that the ARTEZA markers are more watered down than the Posca markers, and they aren't as opaque when you lay down the first layer. Since the ARTEZA markers are leagues cheaper than the Posca markers, I think it's a fair trade-off and it's really expected, you know, for the price. I think these ARTEZA markers are good if you're just starting out trying to get the hang of paint markers. At least that's how I like to look at it, since I personally feel like I'm wasting money when I go for a premium brand of a medium I'm not familiar with right off the bat. It just feels like I'm throwing money away on those first few pieces where I have no idea what I'm doing and it's just like using up unnecessary amounts of supply. But that's just me. So, on to the explanation for today's piece. Before I even committed to purchasing these markers, I already knew that I wanted to do some Avatar fan art with them, particularly APPA. The recent revival of popularity of the Avatar series has me in such a mood to do fan art, and since APPA's color scheme is so simple, I thought he'd be the perfect subject for testing these markers out. I will go ahead and get it out of the way that my number one issue with this piece is that I could not see everything I was doing with it being so far up on my desk. So the finished piece did end up with some little patches of color missing, particularly on the white parts of Appa's fur. The perspective of the buildings in the air temple in the background were also way off. That big tower is especially wonky. I was really tempted to go back and fix some of it up, but I decided that I like the whimsical free-handed look of it and decided to just leave it be. Not everything needs to be perfect, and I'm trying to learn to be okay with that and not let it bother me too much. After all, it is a sketchbook, not a collection of masterpieces, so it's supposed to be fun and loose and silly. Alright, moving on. Most of the paint marker art I see usually uses flat colors for little to no blending, but I wanted to play with these in a more painterly fashion to see what I could get. I was also kind of forced into blending the markers because I didn't have all the colors I needed for APPA in this set. Blending the markers was a learn as I went kind of deal, and there were times I was a little scared I'd ruined it, but it all worked out in the end, and I'm especially pleased with the gradient I was able to get on APPA's dorsal stripe. So in spite of what I said earlier about it being best to not use these markers in anything but a linear motion, I really like the texture I accidentally created in the process of blending and using irregular strokes. Also, I just wanted to mention that I'm super pleased with how well the white marker showed up on this yellow paper. I was skeptical about how well it performed, but since it was nice and bright and stood out great, I think it did a pretty good job. I did end up completely ruining the nib I had on the white marker by the end of this though. Using it to blend the browns worked just fine. It'd eventually go back to white paint once you used it enough afterward, but at some point I made the mistake of using it with black and it would not come off no matter what. But luckily I had all those extra nibs left over from when I changed the rest of them to chisel tips, so I was able to just pop a clean one in there and keep going. But yeah, I had a lot of fun drawing APPA. I love this series so much, and I thought including it in my sketchbook would make it feel more me. I probably watched this series about 5 times at least. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it's probably my favorite cartoon series. I can't even think of any cartoon I've rewatched as many times as this, although JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is probably going to catch up soon, but I'm going to resist going off on a tangent about that. I'm so stoked that Avatar has regained so much popularity and all this new merch is coming out. I'm totally living for it, and me and my husband are currently working our way through Legend of Korra since he hasn't finished it yet. I wanted to do something else Avatar themed to put on the right side of APPA, but I'm not really sure what to do yet. I was thinking maybe Pabu and or Naga or some miscellaneous scenery from the world, I don't know. Any suggestions y'all have are most welcome. You probably already noticed it, but I just wanted to confirm that you can use colored pencil over these paint markers to get some more fine details in. It doesn't work as well as it does over less textured mediums, but it did do something for the shading on APPA. I was too nervous to attempt shading with the paint markers themselves, so I used the pencil mostly as an experiment, and it was pretty decent. Also, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you use these markers and you get paint beads, be sure to wait until it's dry to wipe them off. I had a little oops when I was working on the sky where I thought I was done, and then I wiped off one of those little stray beads and it left a streak across the paper. It could not be covered up with colored pencils, so I ended up having to use more marker to get rid of the streak because that would have bothered me so much to have this random line in the sky. So yeah, just be careful with that. And that's it for today. I think this piece came out really cute, and in spite of the lack of browns, I love the colors in this set and I'm looking forward to doing more with this medium. I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me as we tested out the ARTEZA paint markers, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already so we can grow this channel together. Thank you for watching and see you guys next week.